Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Me and Colin, a movie podcast where you didn't really ask for, but hey, I'm gonna give it to you anyways. This is a podcast where I talk about anything, everything, well, anything about movies. I'm your host, Chase Lee, and hey, guys, listen, if you were searching on the internet for some random fast gift that you forgot to give, like your sister-in-law or something, and you accidentally hate your sister-in-law, but you accidentally came across my podcast and you're not a movie fan, well, hopefully I can convince you to be one. This is episode 160, guys. This is the last normal episode for at least 3 weeks. It's going to be over Rogue One, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you are new to this show, welcome once again. What I do is I will go over some movie news, trailers, and talk about whatever movies come out on the weekend, and then the box office results for the weekend as well. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So, episode 160, here we go. I am not alone today. I'm not flying solo, and I know you guys wish that were true, but no, I decided to bring in someone who basically just told me last night that he was available, so I was like, sure. Yeah, he's back once again. He's been on many times before. It would be Bryan Sudfield. Bryan Suds in the Mud. His album drops next week. So, Bryan, how are we doing today?
I'm good. It's the last week of the first semester of college, so that's really awesome. I go home this weekend. I cannot wait for, Christmas and to see all my friends, get back to working. So I'm doing pretty good. How are you today?
Oh, I just got back from Rogue One, Rogus Oneness, so that will be a lot of fun for sure. So, that's pretty much it. So, yeah, without any further ado, let's get this started. What the hell was that? I guess the sound's going in and out of my computer, so it just sounds like really awkward right now. All right, so wow, that was weird. All right, so let's start with some movie news, guys. Let's jump right into it. There's only a couple of them, and they're all going to be comic book related, but that's okay. We're not gonna harp on that too much. So, the first news story is that Patrick Wilson. Good old P. Wilson. I've always liked this guy. I think he's a pretty underrated actor. He just kind of pops up in random, movies and whatnot. And I've always appreciated his performances and whatnot. So, yeah, I do like Patrick Wilson quite a bit. And the news story is that he is tapped to play the villain in Aquaman. Now, the villain's name is Lord Orm, and I looked him up, and he is Aquaman's brother, who basically is just a piece of shit and wants to take over and the throne of Atlantis and cause bad things to happen. So, he's kind of a piece of shit, but that's okay because we're not rooting for him, we're rooting for Aquaman. But it is nice to have a villain to where you can, feel for him and whatnot and understand where he's coming from. Those are the best types of villains. So I think this is some pretty great news because here's the deal. Jason Momoa playing Aquaman, he's a big dude. He's jacked as all hell, and he looks like a Calvin Klein model. But Patrick Wilson is not. And so Patrick Wilson is going to be like his intellectual foe. He's going to basically play mind games, and he's going to manipulate him. He's going to lie to him. He's going to do all the things he can to fuck him over and basically get the throne of Atlantis. So it's going to be like the classic sibling rivalry story. See, I'm just tongue-tied right now. But, I think this is a good move because he actually brings that kind of like intimidation presence. Not the physical presence, but like the intimidation presence. So I think this is a pretty great pick. So, Bryan, what say you? What do you think of Patrick Wilson potentially playing the villain in Aquaman?
This is a very good casting, and there's a lot of good things behind it. First of all, this may be a little off topic, but Patrick Wilson actually is from the town where my college is, so that's pretty cool. He tends to come here all the time for the film festival that takes place here every year, so that's really awesome. Just wanted to say that. Like you, I do think Patrick Wilson is a pretty underrated actor. I think he's quite talented in stuff that he does outside, the horror movies. And this is also interesting because this will be the 5th time he works with James Wan because, he did the 2 Insidious films and the 2 Conjuring films. So that's something that's really interesting as well. I don't really know much about this character. I don't really know much about Aquaman except for the basics. So I'm pretty excited to see his adaptation. I think him playing the villain will be something very cool because we never really seen Patrick Wilson play a villain. I mean, if you consider him a villain in Insidious 2, then sure.
Sure.
But for the most part, we haven't really seen him play a villain, and I think he's going to do a pretty damn good job in this movie. I'm hoping the movie's good. I mean, with James Wan helmeted, I think it will be good because we've seen him do stuff outside the horror realm. I mean, Furious 7 was good, and I know for a damn fact this will be good. I mean, unless if Warner Bros. Doesn't step in the way, but I digress. Yeah, Patrick Wilson playing the villain, I'm pretty stoked about it.
You know what? You know what's really interesting is I never even thought about that. James Wan is directing Aquaman, so the fact that he has worked with him 4 times prior, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe he was the one that pitched it to Warner Bros. But yeah, I'm actually kind of excited to see him become more mainstream because he really isn't. A lot of people don't know who he is, and yes, he is in the Conjuring films and the Insidious films, but teenagers don't go to those movies for him. They go to get scared and I guess make out and finger bang each other. I don't know. Is that what you teenagers do nowadays? I don't know. I'm too old now, but yeah, no, I'm excited to see him kind of take that leap into the mainstream kind of avenue and see him kind of break out because I've always liked the guy quite a bit. All right, so the last piece of news, another comic book related. I don't know how Bryan feels about this, but we'll get into it. So the thing is, Suicide Squad made a ass ton of money. So it just makes sense that Warner Bros. Would be in a panicky, fidgety mood and be like, oh, God, we need to, we got to get on that train again. Just diverge off and just do all these spinoffs and bullshit like that. And they have no plan. It's just all reactionary. That's fantastic. I'm glad that they act like finicky little children. So the news is that Gotham City Sirens is going to be coming, and Margot Robbie and David Ayer are going to re-team up. David Ayer being the director of Suicide Squad and Margot Robbie being Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. They're going to team back up to do another DC female villain movie, and it's going to have female villains like a Catwoman and Poison Ivy. I don't know. I mean, I hate Suicide Squad, and I've seen it twice, and the more I think about it, the more I just fucking hate it. I don't know why they're just so reactionary and pulling the trigger on these random fucking projects. I guarantee you they do not have any type of line of thinking or plan. They just like, oh shit, that worked. People love it. And here we go, spinoff. So I am not for this at all. I think it's garbage. But I mean, I'm sure people out there love Suicide Squad, and they're probably jizzing their pants over this bit of information. Just for me personally, I don't think the reteaming of David Ayer coming back to do another one is going to look any different. It's going to look just like a giant long music video, just like the first one. And I thought David Ayer was going to be the first one to kind of, break out and do something a little bit different than Snyder, even though I like Man of Steel and BVS. So I don't know. I think because Suicide Squad just really missed it for me, I'm just not that enthusiastic about it. So, Bryan, what say you? I don't know. Do you get like a nerd sweat when you hear this, or do you just like want to go cry in the corner?
See, here's the thing. I didn't hate Suicide Squad when I first saw it. Like, I understood why people disliked it. I was just entertained by it. But then a few months, like within the last month or two, I don't know what exactly. And the thing is, I haven't seen the movie since it came out. So the thing is, I can't judge my thoughts on the movie until I see the movie again. I'm starting to not really care about it that much. And look, I don't think it's a horrible movie, but I'm realizing that it's not a good movie. And it's sad because I was excited for it, as was everybody. And, there's been a lot of stuff going around saying, like, oh, David Ayer, like he was saying, oh, that was my final cut. Boy, no, it wasn't. It was not your cut. You know for a goddamn fact that was not his final cut. Because if you guys seen the other films he made, like And to Watch, Fury, the guy's a really great director. I'm still excited for his next film, Bright, with Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, where it's cops working with orcs. That better be good. It better be good. I mean, the good thing is, since it'll be on Netflix, and if I don't like it, I saw it for free. But this Gotham City Sirens thing, I don't know. I'm very meh on it. I don't know how this is going to turn out because while I thought Margot Robbie was great as Harley Quinn, I just don't know how I feel about this story. And I also don't think this is really the strongest film to make. Like if Suicide Squad was critically like liked by a lot of people, then maybe greenlight this short. And I thought they were gonna make a straight up sequel. I remember them saying, "Oh, in like 2 years we're gonna start filming the sequel." What are you gonna do now? First you said there was gonna be a sequel, then you said there was gonna be a Harley Quinn movie, like just a Harley Quinn movie, and now you're saying there's gonna be this. DC, make up your goddamn mind and just pick one thing to work on. But this, I don't know how I feel. It could be cool. It could be, but right now I'm just very mixed on it. And now there's like a whole rumor going around that Megan Fox is going to be Poison Ivy. If that's a thing, no. You could find a hot actress that's actually good at acting. So, yeah, this Gotham City Sirens thing, I don't care about right now. Right now, my opinion could change. But as of right now, I just don't give a damn.
And that is a great way to end that. I do not want to talk about that anymore. Listen, I didn't like Suicide Squad. I don't care what they do with any of these characters. Beyond that, I'm still excited for the Batman movie and Aquaman and stop myself, Justice League. So I am excited, and Wonder Woman. So I'm excited for like their slate, but like in terms of their Suicide Squad universe, no, thank you. So yeah, that's it for the news, guys. A little bit short news week. Nothing really big that dropped that I felt like that was worth mentioning, but we do have a shit ton of trailers to talk about. So let's talk about two of them that aren't on the list first before we forget. So let's now. You guys know that last week's episode with La La Land, I did it early, so all these trailers pretty much dropped right after that. I got done recording that, so I'm gonna catch up with some of the ones from last week and this week. So it's just been kind of like a mishmash of everything put together. All right, so the first trailer I want to talk about is Baywatch. Good old Baywatchy. It's based on the television show with Pamela Anderson, David Hasselhoff, and their lifeguards who it's like a soap opera, basically. But then as the seasons progressed, it became a very campy, over-the-top show, and the producers realized what they had. So Baywatch stars Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Alexander Daddario and Zac Efron, and it looks like it's going to go the 21-22 Jump Street route, where it's going to make fun of itself, poke fun of itself, and still be an entertaining comedy romp. The trailer was fine. I mean, it's not anything that was anything mind-blowing or anything hilarious. I kind of wish they would have released a Red Band trailer. That maybe would turn me around. But in terms of like this Green Band trailer for Baywatch, I'm okay with it. It looks fun, but I don't find any comedy in it yet. But it looks like Dwayne Johnson. I love when he does all these like PG-13 films and family films, and he is typically the one that drops the F-bomb in all these PG-13 films, but it's nice to see. It's going to be nice to see him kind of go off the rails and like tell a bunch of dick and ball jokes, because I just wake up every morning wishing that Dwayne Johnson would just tell me a dick joke just once. So yeah, it just looks okay to me. So Brian, what say you? Baywatch, what are you feeling?
Well, I mean, this whole show was like a joke to me when I was a little boy, because I would see a parody in shows I would watch a lot when I was a kid. Like the biggest one was easily the SpongeBob movie where David Hasselhoff played himself, and then Patrick and SpongeBob couldn't get into the ocean. Then he fucking runs. "Who are you?" "I'm David Hasselhoff." Hooray! Like it's something like that. And this movie, like when they announced it, I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Saw the trailer. I think it looks pretty funny. I think it looks entertaining enough for what it's gonna be. I like the idea of it poking fun at itself, like the 21 and 22 Jump Street. I think The Rock and Zac Efron are a really interesting duo, and I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do. Although, see, I like it when The Rock does these comedies. I appreciate when he does this stuff. Zac Efron, to me, I love the guy a lot, but I'm kind of starting to get a little tired that he's being in the same comedies that he's always in. Like, this year he did Dirty Grandpa, Neighbors 2, and Mike and Dave. Like, he's playing the same character that he plays in everything now, and I would love to see him go outside and do, more serious stuff. I think he's doing a movie right now with Hugh Jackman, like some biography type of movie about, like, a magician, which sounds great. But this movie, it could be great. It's directed by Seth Gordon, who made The First Horrible Bosses, which is a comedy masterpiece in my opinion. And I think the movie looks entertaining. It comes out Memorial Day weekend, which is a very good weekend because, that's when everyone goes to the beach. So it makes total sense. And also, when Zac Efron looks at Alexander Daddario's boobs, come on, you gotta agree with him. Her boobs are hard not to look at. Sorry, but it's the truth. So, yeah, Baywatch, I think it looks pretty good.
And this podcast has turned into a porno channel. But, when you see True Detective, it's kind of hard not to now.
Yes.
So Baywatch is that done for that one. So, Bryan, would you like to introduce the next one since you live in that area? That was my web shooting from my hand and not my skeeting in my shorts.
Sure. The next one we're going to be talking about is Spider-Man: Homecoming. And
okay.
I don't live in that area.
You live closer than I do.
I live closer to it. I could literally see the city from my dorm. Not right now because it's foggy as fuck. And New Jersey. Fuck it. Okay, so Spider-Man: Homecoming. I love the character of Spider-Man. This is the third time he's being rebooted. I guess second time if you want to think about it. Obviously, we were introduced to him in Civil War, and he was one of the highlights of Civil War, despite being only in 2 to 3 scenes. I'm pretty excited for this movie. I think the trailer was awesome. Now, here is the thing with me. It looks like Marvel's John Hughes movie, and that's a great combination. I'm a huge, huge John Hughes fan, and I love that guy. He's one of my biggest inspirations as a writer and filmmaker. I think that it looks really well done. I like the idea of it being very different from all the other Marvel movies. It's going to be Marvel's coming-of-age film. It could be silly as hell, but it could be really great. I think Tom Holland is going to continue being awesome as Spider-Man. If you follow that guy on social media and see the stuff that he posted Spider-Man, it's literally like awesome, and he's so confident in playing this character. He's just a huge fan of this character, which is an awesome thing. And also, the dude's like a year older than me. I want to know who his trainer is because I need a body like his. When he takes off the suit for like 5 seconds and you see his muscles and abs and everything and his six-pack, I'm like, bro, what the fuck? And everyone else is probably going to be wonderful. I cannot wait to see the best friend because I think he's going to be a standout in the film. Michael Keaton's going to be great, hopefully, as Vulture. This is the third time he's playing a Birdman, so he's literally playing Birdman 2.0 in this movie. And John Watts is directing this. He directed Cap with Kevin Bacon, which was a very good film from last year. So I'm pretty excited for Spider-Man: Homecoming. I've liked the MCU, what they've done. We just had Civil War and Doctor Strange this year. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes out in May, and then Thor Ragnarok comes out in November. So I'm pretty excited for Spider-Man: Homecoming. And that last shot with Iron Man, fucking A, I just love it so much. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think the one thing I really like about the trailer, I think the trailer's good, and it didn't really blow me away, but I think for a first trailer, it's fine. But what I really like about it is the fact that Tom Holland actually looks like a high schooler. Now, listen, I realize that he's in his early 20s, so he's technically not in high school anymore, but 21, 22 still beats 30 fucking years old from Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, as much as I like both those guys. You have to realize when you were that old playing a high school student, the believability factor is just flown out the window. But with Tom Holland, he looks like a skittish little high schooler, and then he looks like he could be a badass at night. He could be a vigilante or whatever. So, yeah, I really enjoy the humor in the film. I enjoy how kind of like quippy it is. I enjoy the interactions between all the characters and the fact that Tom Holland does kind of inhabit Peter Parker better than the other two incarnations. Michael Keaton looks terrifying as the Vulture. The couple lines that he has throughout the trailer are pretty terrifying. So I'm excited to see him kind of branch out and do like a villainous role because we haven't really seen him do that in a while. Birdman, he's a normal dude. Spotlight, he's a normal dude. But in this one, he gets to play like this really like psychotic villain. So I'm all down for it. But yeah, the whole vibe of it, love Peter Parker in it, and I like the fact that they got someone that looks like a boy, like a little boy, instead of a grown-ass man. Because Andrew Garfield, I think when the first one came out, he was like 29 or 30, and then when Amazing Spider-Man 2, he was like 32. So it's like, it's too old. But yeah, Tom Holland looks great. He was one of my favorite parts of Civil War for sure, and it looks like it's going to carry over very, very well. So yeah, that's it for that trailer. I'm excited for that. Next year, we get 3 Marvel movies next year. Everyone getting excited about that? Oh, yeah. Guardians, Spider-Man, and then Thor Ragnarok. Looking at the list right now. Let's go with War for the Planet of the Apes. This is the 3rd film in the Planet of the Apes franchise, the prequel franchise, if you will, with Rise and Dawn. I have loved these movies ever since I saw Rise. I remember seeing Rise with one of my friends in Dallas at a really crappy $1 theater, a dollar theater basically. And so we saw Rise, and it was in the crappiest environment, but yet it was still an awesome experience because the movie was so great. And I loved the mocap in it. I loved the kind of emotional pull that you have between the apes and the humans. And then when you get to Dawn, it's like this like very dreary landscape, and you have these humans trying to help out the apes, and then most of the apes go rogue because of Koba, because he's a dick ape, ape dick. So yeah, and then this one is going to take on a whole kind of more epic scale with literally the apes fighting the humans, and it looks like the humans are going to be led by a Woody Harrelson. So I love the whole vibe of the trailer. It looks dark. It looks intense. It looks like it's going to cap off this trilogy very, very well. And I'm wondering if this is going to be the last one before they tie it into the original Planet of the Apes. I wonder if this is going to be the film that wipes out the humans. I'm assuming so, if you want to think about it chronologically. Wipes out the humans, and then we get to the actual events of the first one. So, yeah, this looks like a great epic end to an epic trilogy. I love it all. Andy Serkis, dear Lord, that guy can do no wrong. I love pretty much all of his lines in Rise and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Like, every single line that he utters is like, it's like a powerful sentence, and you're like, yeah, I believe that, Caesar. So yeah, War for the Planet of the Apes, I am super excited for, and Woody Harrelson looks like a psychotic motherfucker, because that one shot of him, like, just like, we gotta go get the apes, it's like, damn, Woody, calm down, did someone touch you inappropriately? So yeah, War for the Planet of the Apes, I am all for. I cannot fucking wait. That is definitely one of my most anticipated for next year. So Brian, what say you?
Yeah, in 2011, when Rise of the Planet of the Apes came out, I think it was not only a surprise to like us, but to basically everybody, because those trailers were just bleh. But the film was incredible, and it was because of Andy Serkis, mainly as Caesar. I mean, we've seen Andy Serkis do motion capture work before. Obviously, he was Gollum in the Lord of the Rings films, and then he was King Khan. And when he played Caesar, everyone was like, holy shit, where is this guy's Oscar? Give it to him now. And Rise was really, really well done. I forgot who made it. I know that it was someone different, but it was so well done.
Rupert Wyatt, right?
Rupert, yeah, yes, Rupert Wyatt. Good name. And then 2014 we had Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which was just as better and just as bigger and just as cooler and just as terrifying as the predecessor. And because of Koba, who was played really well by Toby Kebbell, all the lines, like the entire human cast in that movie, they were all great. Like Jason Clarke and Gary Oldman and Kerry Russell was all great. And now with this one, we have Matt Reeves coming back to direct it, and it looks wonderful. It looks so terrifying. It looks really well done. The beginning line, like you see a shot on the beach and they're on the horses. The apes on horses trend is back. We did not start the war. Like it's I love it so much. And seriously, like Andy Serkis is a king. I mean, now with all the other motion capture work that he's done, I mean, obviously now he's Supreme Lord Snoke in the Star Wars films, so that's pretty great. I'm excited. I think this film looks great. Woody Harrelson does look terrifying. I will agree that he looks incredibly, like, the performance I think is going to be wonderful. And there's the shot of, like, him having the gun and pointing at Caesar's head, and you're just like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? War for the Planet of the Apes looks awesome. Cannot wait for July. I think it's going to be a monster hit at the box office, and hopefully it's going to be another critical hit, because the last two were both really, really well received by the critics, so I'm really stoked for this film.
And like, I know that you joke about the Oscar thingamajigger with Andy Serkis, but I think people need to realize that in the first Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Caesar has one word, and the rest of the time he emotes through his face and his eyes and just his expressions, and that's not animation. That is Andy Serkis. when you do these mocap performances, they put those little dots on your face so you can do those emotions and you can emote properly. And all the animators do, yes, they kind of tweak it and heighten it a little bit and maybe exaggerate it a little bit more. But for the most part, they just put a mask on you, like a digital mask. So when you watch like Dawn and you see Andy Serkis have a little bit more lines and he does a little bit more, and then you have Toby Kebbell with Koba. Like even when he speaks, it's such a very accurate kind of inflection, and like nothing ever breaks. I always feel like Caesar is progressing very well as his character, and when you hear it in his voice, like he doesn't know English to the fullest extent, so he kind of like it's kind of like that where you don't really know a lot of the words and whatnot, so you're kind of learning as you go. So when you have the mocap performance plus the actual accent that he uses and the inflection in his voice, that's pretty fucking impressive. And I don't understand why people scoff at like, it's not acting, it's just animation. No, that's actually him doing that, and he actually gets on all fours and fucking walks around like a monkey. Like it's amazing. Like he actually uses his fists and his hind legs to like actually walk. So War for the Planet of the Apes, fucking dope. Bryan, you have the list. What would you like to talk about next?
Okay, let's just get probably one of the worst trailers out of the way. Let's just talk about Arsenal. Arsenal. Yes, Arsenal.
All right, take it away.
Okay, so it stars Vincent Chase himself, Adrian Grenier, John Cusack, and Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage. And so apparently Adrian Grenier, his brother gets into a lot of trouble, and he has to team up and do some like gangster shit. He's basically doing some Medellin shit, and it's like, bro, you're not playing Pablo Escobar anymore. Don't get into that crazy shit. This movie will probably be on the veins of Medellin, where if you've seen Entourage, you know exactly how it goes down. Critically panned, no one saw it, and it'll go straight to DVD. This film looks really bad, in my opinion. It looks too sappy. It feels like a Lifetime Redbox type of movie. And look, I love Entourage a lot, and it's cool seeing Adrian Grenier do something outside of that Entourage, but it looks so dumb. This is not a role for him. I don't think he could play someone this serious. He's not Vincent Chase. Like, Vincent Chase on Entourage is a good actor. Adrian Grenier, he's a fine actor. He's not really the best actor. He's great on Entourage, and he was great in the film, but that's really all he has. John Cusack, great, wonderful actor. I mean, he just recently made Resurgence with Love and Mercy, where he played the older Brian Wilson. Fantastic. And Nicolas Cage, now he's a meme. He's the biggest meme of all memes in Hollywood, but it's like, then he's trying to be the Pablo Escobar. Like, he's trying to go all Pablo Escobar by saying, like, all barking. Like, shut the fuck up, Nicolas Cage. Like, this movie looks really shitty. No, gunshot to my head. Gross.
Okay, so full disclosure, Lionsgate sent me the link to it, so I will definitely watch it on Friday in my own home. I'm glad I don't have to, actually go out to go see it. Here's the deal. And I say this with, the best intentions. Entourage ruined Adrian Grenier. I love that show. Bryan knows. I binged it. I watched all 8 seasons within, a span of a month. But that show ruined him. Because everything I've seen outside of Entourage, I've never believed. Never believed him in any role. I've never believed him as a good actor. In Entourage, he plays an actor. So it's an actor playing an actor. It's not that hard because you're basically just playing yourself. And so it works for that environment. But for this movie, every single time he popped up on screen and just every time he delivered a line, I was like, I don't believe that. I don't believe it whatsoever. And then you have on top of that, you have John Cusack wearing a gross beanie that he probably found behind a dumpster, and you're like, what is he doing in the movie? And then you have Nicolas Cage with the worst nose makeup ever, yelling at these random people. It doesn't look good, and I'm excited to watch it on Friday or sometime this week and rip it a new one. I cannot wait to listen. I'm not going to go into it wanting to hate it. I hope it's like good fun, like bad good fun or something. But yeah, just from the trailer impression, it looks like a fake movie that would be on Entourage. When someone said that, I was like, wow, that is totally true. Because I was listening to another podcast and they said that, I was like, holy shit, they're actually correct. Like that, it looks like a fake movie you would see on Entourage. So yeah, I'm not feeling it, fam. So no, thank you on Arsenal. I can't wait to spend 2 hours with nose job Nicolas Cage this week. So yeah. So next trailer. Let's talk about Fate of the Furious. First of all, I hate the title.
Same.
Second of all, the trailer's pretty awesome. Now, here's the deal, folks. I've actually been one of those fans of Fast and the Furious ever since it came out. I remember I was in 5th grade when the first one came out, 2001, I still remember. And I went to the video store and I rented it, and I was like, damn, man, this is cool, man. These fucking cars and shit, just blowing up and a bunch of titties and bikinis. Woohoo, yeah. So, I was really into it and stuff, and then, the sequel, I didn't really care for it so much because Vin Diesel wasn't in it. I actually like Tokyo Drift for what it is. That's fine. And then number 4 comes out, and I really like number 4. Number 5 just takes it to a whole nother level. 6 takes it to a whole nother level, and 7 I thought was really good for what it was, and it had like one of the best send-offs of any movie from last year, and the best send-off for that franchise so far. Here's the deal. Is that this franchise knows what it is. It's not trying to pretend to be something. It's supposed to be ridiculous and fucking balls to the wall, like fun, out there, ridiculous stunts. I get that. So if you want to look at it from that regard, the trailer was pretty cool. Now, a lot of people have a problem with at the end of the trailer where Vin Diesel looks like he's mind controlled by Charlize Theron and basically betrays Michelle Rodriguez and all of his family. So I was. It's whatever. It's gonna be a plot device. And do you think he's gonna be mind controlled throughout the entire movie? No, that's not how it works, folks. It's not gonna even be for that long in the movie, so that doesn't bother me. It makes it interesting because if you're gonna keep making these movies, you have to keep doing more ridiculous shit. They're playing along with their own tone, so I'm okay with it. And that fucking submarine at the end, busting through the ice, chasing the cars. Come on, man. It's fucking ridiculous. It is. That is the most asinine thing I've seen on screen in a while. But I can't wait to see the movie. So I hate the title, but I like the trailer, and I don't have a problem with the Vin Diesel thing. So, Brian, what say you? Are you excited for the 8th entry into Fast and the Furious, which I never thought I'd say in my life?
First of all, I agree with you. I hate the title as well. It should have just stuck with Fast 8 or Furious 8 or Fast and Furious 8 or whatever they wanted to call it. I didn't get into this franchise until the 5th one came out because I remember a lot of my friends in middle school were so hyped up for Fast 5, and I'm like, you're really excited for this piece of shit looking action movie with the pacifier and this random man, i.e. Paul Walker, who I didn't know at the time. But I will say this. When I saw the 5th one and heard all the good things, I'm like, okay, I'll go check it out. And I saw it, and I'm like, that was fucking amazing. And I saw the 6th one. It was amazing. The 7th one, it was amazing. And I catched up on the other 4 beforehand. I liked the first one. The second one, I don't like. I don't care for Tokyo Drift. I only saw it one time. If I watch it again, maybe I'll enjoy it. The 4th one, I think, is okay, but I started seeing some light in it. I was like, I could kind of see where they're going with this. This one looks great. Now, it's directed by F. Gary Gray, for people who don't know. He's the guy who directed Friday, The Italian Job, which ironically Charlize Theron was in, and the amazing, just incredible Straight Outta Compton from last year. So, you have a good director on your hands, and the action looks absolutely ridiculous. It looks so much fun. And everybody's back in this, obviously. Obviously, Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Dwayne Johnson, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris. And then we have the girl from the last film, whose name I forgot. She's Miss Andy on Game of Thrones, for people who don't know. Obviously, Jason Statham's back, which is a great thing because I felt like he was very underused in Furious 7. And then Kurt Russell's back, and then obviously Charlize Theron's a new addition. I believe Scott Eastwood's in this. And even though we haven't seen her in it, Helen Mirren's in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, that's like, you can't go any more ridiculous. So, I like the idea of mind control thing that's going on with Dom. I like that a lot because the fact that we're in 8 films already, you gotta do something to continue this story. And I think it's very cool because I didn't know what this movie was about before the trailer came out. And when he was with The Rock and then all of a sudden he crashes into The Rock's car and then he's like talking with Charlize Theron, I'm like, what? I thought this was just going to be the same thing where they go after like Charlize Theron. I thought they were going after all of that, but now he's with her and then everyone else has to go and save him. So that's pretty crazy. And then the prison fight, I cannot wait to see that on screen. I will beat you like a Cherokee drum. The cheesy lines too. Just everything. I am so excited for the Fate of the Furious. I cannot wait to go home that weekend, see you with my friends, because we did that with Furious 7 last year in IMAX. We went opening night, and we're gonna do that again in April when this one comes out. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for this movie. I just don't like the title, but regardless, bad titles are not always the worst thing. As long as the movie's good, that's all that matters. And this movie looks fucking great. And submarines and ice. What? Wow. Okay. Yep. The end. Just great trailer. I loved it.
I can't wait until number 9 or number 10 when they actually say they're going to space. And I'll be like, that's the only logical thing to do now. Because you've already done water, you've done ice, you've done the streets. You have to go to space now. So, yeah, the ridiculousness of the franchise, my God, what a load of fun. So, yeah. Brian, it is your turn. We have 4 left. Would you like to go with your boy Zach Braff? Maybe?
Now that you said that, sure. I mean,
what's the trailer?
Okay, the trailer is. Oh, I just dropped my mic. I'm so excited to talk about this.
Yeah, Brian just died. Like he had a heart attack as he dropped his mic.
I'm so excited to talk about this. The trailer is going in style. Now, Chase brought this up. Zach Braff is involved in this, but what is he? He's the director of this film. He's not in the film. He's the director of it. Now, it's directed by him. It's written by Theodore Melfi. Now, if you guys don't know who this is, he's the writer and director of St. Vincent, which was a great film from 2014, and he directed this year's so far well-received Hidden Figures, which I haven't seen. Chase has. Haven't seen it yet. Really excited to see it. And this stars 3 of the best older gentlemen in Hollywood, Michael Caine, Alan Arkin, and Morgan Freeman. It's a remake of a film from the 70s, and the thing is, the very interesting thing about this movie is that their bank gets robbed and they lose their pensions, so now they have to go rob that bank and get their pensions back. It could be really dumb, but with Zach Braff helmeted and with Theodore Melfi helmeting the script and these 3 actors, I'm excited on my mind for this. Well, here's the thing. If I didn't know what this movie was...
You do realize, like, it's basically Hell or High Water with old people.
It is Hell or High Water with older people, and it's the comedy version of Hell or High Water, so that's pretty exciting. Now, here's the thing. This movie could really not be great, but I'm excited for it because of Zach Braff, and that's why. Zach Braff is one of my favorite people on the planet. Like, I've always loved this guy ever since I saw Scrubs. Then, obviously, he wrote and directed Garden State, which is, like, one of my all-time favorite films. And then he did Wish I Was Here, which I also thought was quite great. Criminally overlooked. No one ever talks about that film. So this, I'm curious to see what he's going to do, because the fact that he's not in this movie and the fact that this is something very different for him because this is a studio film, I'm excited on my mind. And I love the 3 actors. I mean, could this be one of those movies where Morgan Freeman's just doing it for a paycheck? Sure. I mean, probably. But it looks like him, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin are all having a great time. And the fact that Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine are working together again after the Dark Knight trilogy, that's something really awesome. I think it looks entertaining. My problem with the trailer is that they use the same goddamn song that every trailer uses nowadays, Highway to Hell. Like, come on. You can't – what is it with the overuse of AC/DC in trailers? Look, I love AC/DC. I love them, but – you can't use them in every trailer. Warner Brothers. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I think the film may be dumb, but I'm excited for it mainly because of my homeboy, Zach Braff. Go New Jersey. Booyah.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I think it looks like this could be the one film next year to bring out senior citizens to go see a movie. And that's not a bad thing. Like, I'm glad that, like, there's movies for everyone. And it looks fun. It looks entertaining. And like I said, as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, this looks exactly like Hell or High Water. It's just with old people, and it's the comedy version. So I'm down for it. Why not? That's all I will say about it. Yeah, so we have 3 more trailers. Now, we're going to talk about one of them last. And I want Brian to guess which one that is. Which one do you think I would like to talk about last?
Dunkirk?
No.
Snatch?
No.
Despicable Me 3?
Yes, and I will explain why. So.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know why. I know why.
Listen, I'm going to be the first person in the entire YouTube community and podcast community to bring this up. No one has brought this up yet. I will be the first.
I know what he's going to say, and it's pretty exciting. Okay. So I know what he's going to say.
So, all right. Let's talk about the worst one first, then we'll move on to Dunkirk.
Snatch. Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Ugh.
Here's the deal, though, folks. I like Trainwreck. I did. I thought it was a nice little comedy. I laughed a lot, and I thought Judd Apatow did a very good job directing it. I like Amy Schumer sometimes in her stand-up. Didn't say all the time, sometimes. This trailer for her second follow-up is awful, and I'm glad that Judd Apatow did not slap his name on it because I vouched for the guy ever since 40-Year-Old Virgin, since Anchorman, and the fact that he is not on this movie, whew, that is a humongous wipe of the forehead because this one looks awful. Goldie Hawn plays her mother. They go on a road trip, and that's it. It's just a road trip movie. Goldie Hawn looks like she was confused throughout the entire trailer. She looks like, I'm serious, she looked like she was in the wrong movie. It looked like she was in the wrong house. Like, Kurt Russell, where are you at? I'm home, like, from picking up dinner. And there's like, we're filming a movie, Goldie Hawn, and I just keep her in there. Like, it looks like she's seriously confused. Like, she doesn't know where she's at. And that is not an Alzheimer or dementia joke. That is not, I am not making fun of those people. I'm just saying that Goldie Hawn looks like she's severely confused as to where she's at in terms of, am I in a movie set or am I at home? I thought she was extremely uncharismatic and unfunny in the trailer, and just like, that was the woman you were supposed to pick for the mother. And I realized that she hasn't acted in a long time, and she's done some great hits. I'm not saying she's a terrible actress, but she obviously took that break for a reason. This is why, because she has lost her chops. Amy Schumer, no, I will not buy her in this one. But like I said, I will say that I like Trainwreck, and I like her stand-up sometimes. That's all I really like of her. That's it. But this trailer was unbearable, and I watched the Red Band trailer. The fucking Red Band. And nothing about it was even humorous in the slightest. So, I'm done talking about this trash heap. Bryan, take it away.
Look, I know a lot of people dislike Amy Schumer, and I can understand why, but I love her a lot. I loved Trainwreck, and I like her stand-up more than others probably. I heard about this movie in July. I went to an advanced screen of Ghostbusters, and the writer of that film, Kate DePaul, she wrote this. She also wrote The Heat and many episodes of Parks and Rec. So when she was talking about this, I was like, I'm interested in that, because when she said, oh, we're doing this Amy Schumer Goldie Hawn comedy, I'm like, that could be cool. It could be cool. And I was really excited when they said, hey, this trailer came out. I saw the trailer. I fucking hated it. First of all, it does not look funny. Second, it looks predictable as fuck. Third of all, it looks ridiculous. And four, I don't buy any of them. And look, I have to echo with you on Goldie Hawn. She looks like she doesn't even know where the fuck she is.
Right?
I bet you this happened on set. She was drugged up, and then she called Amy Schumer Kate Hudson, because everyone knows that Kate Hudson's her daughter. So she's like, oh, Kate, hi, Kate. I'm not Kate. I'm Amy. This movie looks really shitty. It looks so bad. Like, look, I like Kate DePaul. I met the woman, and she's like a goddamn sweetheart. She wished me luck in college. And you know what? She almost went to my college. She went to Rutgers. She respected me, and she said, hey, I cannot wait to see you on the big screen one time. And I'm like, thank you, Katie. I really appreciate that. And another sad thing about this movie is that it's directed by Jonathan Levine. And if you guys do not know who this guy is, he directed 50-50, Warm Bodies, and last year's The Night Before. I don't know what made him sign on to this movie. It could be look, if the trailer is bad, hopefully the movie could be good, but as of right now, I'm not sold. I'm not sold. I think this movie looks really shitty, and I don't want to talk about it. And look, I feel bad for Amy Schumer, because I love her to death, but this movie just looks really terrible, and I don't want to see it. So, Snatch, get the fuck away.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. So, yeah, let's talk about Dunkirk now. So Dunkirk, the newest film by Christopher Nolan, if you will, and his last film was Interstellar, and he's pretty much been on a roll doing a movie every 2 years. And that's pretty much been his formula. And he's made movies such as Memento and Insomnia, the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, like I said, and I'm missing one, The Following.
Prestige.
And The Prestige, thank you. But, yeah, I don't know why I forgot about that one. It's my favorite one. Dunkirk looks fantastic. Now, I say looks fantastic because I thought the trailer was just okay, I guess. It didn't really tell me much. I don't know, maybe I need to rewatch it again, but just watching it for the first time, I got a sense of what was going on. It's based on actual events and whatnot, but it was just a bunch of beautiful shots and some really great war imagery, which is never a bad thing. You want to get people into the mood and the tone of the film. But I thought as just a trailer, it was just okay. But I'm still excited to see it. Do not twist my words, folks. I'm excited as beyond all hell to see this movie. It looks fantastic. It looks gorgeous. I love the way he shoots his films. They're just so lush and beautiful in the cinematography, and just really kind of invite you into this world that he's creating. So I really like Dunkirk quite a bit, the trailer, and it just needed a little bit more Tom Hardy. But other than that, yeah, I really enjoy it, but the visuals look fantastic. So, Brian, what say you?
I love Christopher Nolan to death. I have liked pretty much everything that he's directed. My favorite actually being Memento. That's my personal favorite that he's ever done. When I heard that he was doing this movie, I'm like, holy shit. First, this is his first like genuine war film, so hell yeah, I'm excited. I like the trailer as well. It looks beautiful, the movie. Now, I think the movie's going to be fantastic. However, people need to realize that because they didn't show much, that's what Christopher Nolan is known for when it comes to his teaser trailers. The trailers don't really show much. They don't really give much away. I guarantee you when a second or third trailer comes out, we'll get to know more about the story. I mean, it's about the Dunkirk evacuations, which I don't know anything about. I don't even remember if I learned about it in high school, to be quite honest with you. And, I mean, the cast is going to be wonderful. I mean, you got Tom Hardy, like you just brought up. You got recent Oscar winner Mark Rylance, Cillian Murphy, obviously, who's frequently working with Nolan, Kenneth Branagh, but the biggest casting that gets me curious is Harry Styles. And if you guys don't know who he is the lead singer of that boy band, One Direction. And if Christopher Nolan cast this kid for a reason, I'm sure he's probably going to do very good. Christopher Nolan wouldn't cast someone who can't act. And if he wanted to cast the part. He does look like he does look the part. And the
he didn't say any lines in the movie or the trailer, but he looks like he was a part of that war. So there you go.
He does, and some of the shots with him, like I think he was the one that was underwater at one point. Like if that was him, then I think that's gonna be a great performance. And I love the idea of how he shot this film entirely on IMAX cameras, just similar to what Clint Eastwood did with Sully recently. And this was shot on film also, which was a great thing because, Christopher Nolan is going old school and not new school. Don't mind digital shot films, but film is better. That's why I love how Star Wars is being shot on film now. I'm excited to see this movie. I cannot wait. As a huge history fan, I'm excited to see what he's going to do with this. Nolan, I love him. And I love the cast. I'm excited so much. And Bane and Scarecrow being in the movie together, that's fucking lit. I cannot wait for Dunkirk. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's going to be summer is a weird release date for it, but I'm still excited to see it in the summer to kind of break apart from the epic blockbusters, even though it'll be an epic movie within itself. But it'll be based on true events, so it'll have a little bit more emotional weight to it. So, and then the final trailer, Despicable Me 3. Now, you're probably wondering why I did this one last. And I want people to listen to this episode, save it, and realize that I called this for many years out. Brian, I'll let you go first. What is Despicable Me, and what did you think of the trailer?
Well, this is obviously the third one. I liked the first one a lot. I thought the first one was a charming, sweet, endearing animated film. Steve Carell was amazing as Gru, and then the minions were great. And then the other characters, I think Russell Brand plays the old guy that Gru works with, which is absolutely fantastic. And then Jason Segel played the villain, and then obviously the little girls, they were all great too. Second one comes out, don't remember it too well because I only saw it once. I remember enjoying it, but I was like, I cannot wait for more in this series. And then they made that piece of shit Minions movie, which just disappointed the fuck out of me. And I don't know why it made money. I don't know why people saw it. I don't get why it made more money than any of the good anime films from last year. You know, I didn't like The Good Dinosaur, but I think The Good Dinosaur should have made more money than Minions. Yeah, I'm going that far, you assholes. So Despicable Me 3. Don't really know much about the story, but I think it looks very...
Yeah, it's like a teaser trailer almost.
Yeah, it is a teaser trailer, but I think it looks really, really, really entertaining. And I'm not going to specify why, because I think it's going to be the same reason why Chase thinks it's entertaining, so I'll be very vague about it. Now, here's the thing. One of the characters, the new character in this trailer, he dances to Michael Jackson, which is absolutely hilarious. And I thought it would be dumb, but it's actually really fucking funny. The Minions are only in one shot of this trailer, which is fucking fantastic because I'm starting to grow Minions fatigue. They're better as supporting characters, not as leads. Steve Carell looks like he's going to be just wonderful as Gru. I'm still shocked that that's him voicing the character. Like, I'm just like, I'm blown away. And, you know, there's someone else that people haven't brought up. That ending with the Minions on the beach, that's literally the sequence from 22 Jump Street. That is literally like the sequence from 22 Jump Street where Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum are going to find the drug dealer in that beach. So that's really funny. But yeah, the new character, I'm not going to say who he's voiced by, but it's great casting because I remember when they announced the cast, I'm like, you're casting this person? That's interesting and very different, and I didn't even know the guy would do something like this, so that's pretty awesome. So Despicable Me 3 looks pretty good. This teaser was very entertaining for what it was, and the sequence where Gru basically, you see Gru's ass, and then he wears like the big bubblegum thing, and then he yells, my birthday, like he does that. It was funny as hell. But the new character gets me really excited because of not only his Michael Jackson dance moves, but of the person he's voiced by. Despicable Me 3, I'm pretty excited. Go ahead, Chase.
So to piggyback off the Minions 22 Jump Street scene, I mean, how do you think they stay so hyper all the time? They have to, do a lot. So, anyways, I cannot believe no one has brought this up while talking about the trailer. The villain that dances to Michael Jackson is voiced by none other than South Park's Trey Parker. You're probably thinking to yourself, why is this a significant thing? I don't know if you guys know this, but Trey Parker and Matt Stone, his partner in South Park, they do not like Hollywood. They do not like the system. Why do you think they make fun of celebrities on their show? And why do you think they fucking blow them up to shreds? And why do you think they made fun of all the celebrities in Team America? They work for themselves, which is great. They do their own projects, and they don't do anyone else's. Now, if you look at Trey's filmography, He's done a few films where he's cameoed, but the only film he's done a lead role in is Basketball. In Basketball, he did it with Matt Stone. I actually kind of liked it. It was funny and ridiculous. I didn't think it was awful like Trey and Matt think it is, but it's whatever. After that movie, that is when they turned a switch, and they did not want to do any more movies at all because they do not like the system. They do not like Hollywood in the way it functions. That's why they do whatever the fuck they want on South Park. Now, I do understand that it's done by Comedy Central, and Comedy Central is still a corporation, so you still have to abide by some rules. But if you look at South Park, they have pushed the limits time and time again, and they do not give a fuck. They've only done one episode where they have literally had to censor everything because Comedy Central was scared for World War III. Other than that, they've done pretty much everything. And if you're wondering which episode that was, it was the Mohammed episode. All right. But Trey Parker is voicing this person. Universal is doing this movie. Now, I'll have to look at the companies. I believe Universal has Comedy Central under their banner. I could be wrong. It might be Warner Brothers. Like I said, sorry if I, mistake that. But this is huge news. Why is Trey Parker doing a big budgeted animated movie, especially a family movie? I was confused throughout the entire trailer as to why they were advertising this man's name. No fucking kid is going to understand who that guy is. They just aren't. They advertised him twice in the trailer, as well as Steve Carell and Kristen Wiig, I believe. Those are the three they advertised in the trailer. No kid's going to understand that, who's Trey Parker? They're just not. Here's my theory. I could be wrong. I think Trey Parker signed up for this movie because, one, someone convinced him very handsomely, like, hey, we're going to give you a lot of money for this. I think he got this role, and I think he accepted this role and went outside of his own rhetoric of how he hates Hollywood. I think the only reason he did this movie was so he could fund either a South Park sequel or another movie that him and Matt are conjuring up. That is my theory as to why he accepted this. Listen, animated voice acting pays huge. Him and Matt have done South Park for 20 seasons now, and they do probably get paid handsomely. But they probably need that extra bump in cash to, actually do a feature film. And I would not be surprised if after Despicable Me 3, maybe a few months later, we hear like a brewing of like a South Park sequel coming out. That is just my theory, but you guys have to realize that it's very weird for me to see Trey Parker in this movie, considering the fact how much he hates Hollywood. So I seriously think he's doing this strictly for a paycheck to fund another movie that him and Matt are working on. Bryan, am I too far out of the realm of possibility for that theory?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're not.
Thank you for your contribution. What do you think about that psychotic theory? And by the way, the teaser trailer is fine. There was a couple of funny parts, and I do like the fact that Trey is playing like this guy that's obsessed with like 80s music and stuff. So it's a nice little teaser trailer. But anyways, Bryan, what do you think about that crazy theory?
I never really thought of that until now because I don't really look into, his thoughts on Hollywood. I just watch his stuff. That's literally all I do. Like, I watch South Park, not as regularly as you, but I watch it from time to time when I, have nothing else to do. It makes me laugh. It makes me cry. It's just wonderful. But it's crazy that he would do something like this because of what you're saying. And I would probably agree that maybe this could be for a South Park sequel or something else. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked either. But if it's not, I wouldn't be surprised either. So I think the theory is interesting. I never really would have thought of that. You probably had a lot of time to think about it, but it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting of a theory. More interesting than theories, on actual movies and TV shows and all that other stuff. So, yeah, your theory, pretty fucking fascinating.
I mean, think about it. What if he's doing this for Universal because Universal said, if you voice this person, we will help fund a South Park movie?
I mean, it could be true,
who knows?
But
who knows?
But who knows?
Yeah, so I'm telling you guys, if you listen to Matt and Trey speak about Hollywood, they do not like the system. So that's why I thought it was fucking weird when I heard the news, and when you see it in the trailer and you see his name, you're like, he's being advertised. Look at his filmography. 90% of his filmography is South Park. It's either South Park or video games of South Park. The guy he's pretty much in the South Park universe 24/7. So what made him diverge from that to go do this movie? Or maybe he's funding another Broadway play. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to find that out. But I want you guys to save this episode, mark that little rant right there, and you're gonna be fucking surprised when you hear that they're gonna do a play, a movie, or something else, and they're gonna fund it for themselves and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. But I'm excited to see like Trey Parker be in a kids movie. It's gonna be fucking weird, but it's cool. Maybe someone actually like swindled him into doing something outside of South Park for once. I don't know. Maybe he's starting to turn around. I have no clue. But I seriously think it's to fund something else. So that will do it for the trailers, guys. What was your favorite trailer for the duration of the week and a half ish? For me, my favorite. Bryan, this is tough. I think I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with War for the Planet of the Apes. I think that's my favorite. What about you?
I'm gonna go with The Fate of the Furious.
Okay, yeah, that's respectable. So, yeah, that will do it for the trailers, guys. Comment down below and let us know what is your favorite. So, yeah, let's get into the main meat. The appetizers are done. They are out of the way. We've eaten them up. We spent a whole hour on them. God damn it. Now we're going to get on to the main course. The movie of the hour. The one that you've all been waiting for. Bryan, what are we reviewing?
We are going to be reviewing Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yes, we are. So I just got back from it, so I'm pretty much fresh on my thoughts about it. Bryan has had a couple days to think about it. Okay, so he's had a couple days. I've literally had about an hour. So, okay. As you guys know, I am not the biggest Star Wars fan. I will watch the movies. I think they're enjoyable. But I just don't go apeshit over them like I do like a comic book movie. That's my genre. So as far as this one, I was excited for it. I was excited to see kind of like the type of tone they were going to go for because it is done by Gareth Edwards, who did the Godzilla remake, which was pretty dark. So I was expecting to have some really luscious cinematography, some really great war scenes, and just follow these ragtag group of rebellion that go steal the Death Star plans. It's a pretty simple story. I walked out of the movie, and I still will stand my ground in saying this. I think it's just okay. Now, there's a lot of good things about it, and there's a lot of bad things about it, but yeah. So that's my initial thoughts. Bryan, before we dive into it and really break it down, did you love it, like it, think it was okay? Or did you hate it?
Well, I loved it.
Okay, so we're gonna have a little bit of an argument. So that's
no, good. No. Listen,
no. But Bryan, that provides the entertainment for the kids out there. So all right, so yeah. So let's get real and break this down because, like I said, I have a lot of issues with. But listen, make no mistake about it. I do think there's some really great parts in it. But for the most part, I was just kind of like, it's fine, it's whatever. So let's get into the kind of writing and directing portion of it, because this is, I think, where most of the problems lie for me. Let's start with the writing and the actual story and the characters. The story itself is not that, like, extravagant. It's a ragtag group of people trying to steal the Death Star plans. That's basically it. And they basically shoot it up to the rebellion ship, and then they take it to you-know-who at the start of New Hope, and then that's where the events of that takes place. So it's not like that much like an intriguing story, but the main draw of the movie is to actually follow these characters and make sure you care about them, so when they sacrifice themselves for the rebellion, you know, and against the Empire, it's a very powerful statement, and I think that's where the biggest problem lies for me in this movie. I actually didn't care about any of the characters. I think the most I cared about was K2SO, the robot, which was interesting because he was a fucking robot. I thought everyone was one-dimensional. No one was really kind of developed into this like heroic character I thought was worth investing in emotionally. I felt like there was something empty about all these characters. I would say like Donnie Yen's character, the blind one that kicks a lot of ass, he might have the most characters because he's been around for a while and he's wise. I mean, but that's what I get from him. But like Jyn Erso and, you know, Diego Luna's character and stuff, I didn't feel anything. Like I just felt like, yeah, they were going through the motions and getting stuff, and they looked bored. Felicity Jones and Diego Luna's character were very one note. I didn't feel any compassion for any of them. I didn't feel any weight to anyone. It's just they all had the same expression on their face, and no character was like really fleshed out or developed to where when the end of the movie happened, you actually did care. I just didn't care for that whatsoever. and as far as like directing wise, I thought Gareth Edwards did a fantastic job in terms of world building. The one thing I've always appreciated about Star Wars is that it has really great world building. You feel like you're in these random planets and these random environments across the galaxy, but they all have their own distinct personality and distinction to where you're like, that's really cool. I love the kind of color palette over here. I love the visual flares over here. Like, it's just really creative and really inventive, and I think he really kind of added a lot to the Star Wars mythology, if you will. And as far as Gareth Edwards directing on the action scenes, I thought those were really well handled too. They felt really gritty and grounded and kind of dirty and just grimy and stuff. I really kind of like the mature elements of the action scenes that Gareth Edwards directed. So the story itself, just to wrap up the section of writing and directing, the story itself, not that compelling. I thought the characters were one note. Very lifeless, emotionless, didn't care about them whatsoever, except for K2SO. I thought he had the most investment from me personally, and the direction from Gareth Edwards in terms of world building and action scenes were very well done. So, Bryan, for the writing and directing, did you think the story was satisfying to you? Did you feel the compassion for the characters to where, you know, at the very end, like when shit goes down, if you will, that you felt for them? And, you know, what did you think about Gareth Edwards' direction?
Well, I mean, the story itself I thought was completely satisfying, and I love how like self-contained and simple it was compared to the other Star Wars films, because the thing is, like, I appreciate this entire franchise a lot, and you know, I grew up with it and stuff, but like when they announced that they were going to do these anthology films, I was really just excited to see them do something a little more grounded than the other 7 Star Wars films, which was something that was a delight. I will agree with you that in my eyes, the only character that's really well fleshed out to me personally, is Jyn Erso, and the only characters are they're not really well developed. You don't really know much about them except for like one burst out scene with Diego Luna's character, which I thought was a great scene, and I just think that, like, that's my biggest flaw with the entire movie, is that the characters, most of them just weren't really well developed. Like, you don't know much about them. Sure, you don't have to know every single detail about them, like where they were born, where were they conceived, and all that stuff. We don't need to know any of that shit. But it's like, I just feel like with the Star Wars
it's not like those like minute details like where they're born and shit. It's more of like the emotional. The emotional investment is lost, like, because they're all like very one-note people. Yes, they have a main goal that they're going to try to go do for the rebellion. That's fine. I like that aspect, but there was nothing more to them. That was it. It was just scratching the surface. You know what I'm saying? That way, like,
I totally get what you're saying. I guess I just really like, in terms of the characters, I like them, but it's just to me, I just wanted a lot more development towards them, because the thing is, when you watch The Force Awakens, you're introduced to about 6 new characters, and all of them are developed very well. It's just that, unfortunately, with this film, they're not really well fleshed out like they should have been. And I get it that, without spoiling anything, you guys may know that we're not going to get any more of this story after this movie, which is totally understandable, because what's the point? This movie only takes place between 3 and 4. Like, we don't need to see these characters again after this movie. And I just think that for what they hyped up, I thought the characters just could have been a lot more developed. I just thought Jyn Erso was a well fleshed out character, probably because she's the lead character, and you know, we do learn about some of her backstory. And I mean, the movie opens with what happens to her and her father, played by Mads Mikkelsen. But with the directing, I thought this was a very well-directed film. I liked the Godzilla reboot, and I was excited to see what Gareth Edwards was going to bring to this film. I thought the film was very well-directed. Like, in terms of the performances and the script, like, the writing itself was not all that bad. It was a little cheesy at times. Save the rebellion, save the dream. Like, that was very cheesy and everything. That's what he does. He yells, and then he says it so quiet, save the dream.
I know. Like there's some lines in here that was like, this passed, like, through, like, inspection of Disney head? Like, what the hell?
I mean, I looked at who wrote the script. You got Chris White, not who directed. He wrote American Pie,
yeah,
about a boy, about a boy, and he wrote Cinderella. And then the other guy was Tony Gilroy, who wrote the first three Bourne films. So that's great. That's a great and interesting duo. You got the guy who wrote American Pie and the guy who wrote Bourne. Okay. And the script just felt a little wooden, but I was still engaged throughout the entire movie. Like, the story just grasped me. It was able to grasp me, which was a good thing. But yeah, in terms of the writing and directing, I thought it was very mixed, and the writing definitely was the biggest flaw with the film. Like, definitely the flaw that I see everybody having, including yourself. So yeah, in terms of that, it was whatever.
And I know these movies exist where, like, it's kind of like a suicide mission, and you have these ragtag group of people that literally go rogue, pun intended, and they go do their own thing, and you know that they're probably not going to make it out. So at that point, as a filmmaker, you need to make sure that you are emotionally invested in all of them. In all of them. Because at the end of the movie, this is not spoiling, but they get more people to go with them to get these plans. Those people are wiped out within like 10 minutes. They don't have any lines of dialogue. And I know that's the purpose, but what was the point? They were just cannon fodder. And so and that's why I felt like most of the crew was just cannon fodder. They all had a main goal, sure, but there's nothing more beyond that. And I disagree with the Jyn Erso. There was nothing. There was nothing to her. We just know that her dad was a part of this whole thing, and she was trying to save her dad and get the plans, and that was it. Nothing more. And that, like I said, that for me is just the main gripe I have with it, and it's a big one for me. So moving on to the acting, speaking of the characters, I didn't really care for Felicity Jones at all. I didn't care for Diego Luna at all. Riz Ahmed might be my favorite character and favorite performance, just because he was kind of bumbly in the beginning, but he then becomes like a badass at the end. I kind of believe that portion of his character, but like everyone else, the performances were so dry and so bland to me. I didn't feel any like charisma or any personality from anyone. So if that's the way they were written, fine. But as far as performances go, everyone was just okay. Now going on to the main villains, Ben Mendelsohn's one of my boys. I love Bloodline, and what he does in that show is just super menacing and disgusting, and he plays it very, very well. Director Krennic, I thought he was the best part of the movie. He did ham it a little bit in his performance with a couple of lines that were definitely like shouted instead of actually like said with a little bit more conviction instead of shouting. But I thought he was the better part of the movie because he was like that menacing guy that was just following orders from all the people above him, and he was getting frustrated because his job wasn't getting done, and you can kind of feel that frustration, the anger in him. He's just a guy that wants to watch the world burn, and he gets what he wants in some parts, and he's kind of a disgusting person. And so, like I said, I thought he was the best part. I thought Mads Mikkelsen was kind of wasted. We didn't really know much from her dad, except he made shit for the Empire. That's about it, and he got fucked over. Cool, yippee. Forrest Whitaker. That was kind of wasted. His character and his performance was very odd. Like, I didn't really care for the accent. It looked like he was out of breath all the time. Which, I mean, to be fair, he was he had to breathe oxygen in most of the film. So I get that, but he still sounded like he was out of breath. So all the performances I think are just okay, and I think Ben Mendelsohn did the better job out of everyone. So Brian, what about the acting? Was there any performances that stuck out, and was there any ones that you just didn't really care for?
I'll talk about the ones I cared about first. Look, I know that you personally thought Felicity Jones was okay. I thought she was terrific. I thought she was great. Like, in terms of to me, I love her a lot, which may be a biased thing. Like, I really love Felicity Jones so goddamn much. Like, I loved her like crazy. I loved her in The Theory of Everything. I'm excited to see her in The Monster Calls. I love her to death. I was so excited to see her in this series because now people will finally know who she is, because no one knows who she is, which to me is a big issue because she's a criminally overlooked actress. And she was great as General. So, like, the performance itself to me was good. Diego Luna I thought was fine. I loved Donnie Yen in the movie, like his performance. I thought he was very good.
Donnie Yen was cool because, like I said, talking about the characters, that he probably had the most developed out of the whole like group. Just because the fact that he was older, I felt like there was more history with him, just from the way he was like sitting or the way he like looked at someone. I felt like there was a lot more history there with him, and a lot more wisdom than with like a Diego Luna and Felicity Jones. I feel like, oh, they were just there type of deal.
I totally get that. I totally get that, and I love his line, "I'm with the Force and the Force is with me." I like that line a lot. I really liked Ben Mendelsohn here. I thought he was over the top as hell, but really, really entertained. That's how all the villains are in the Star Wars universe. They're all hammy, over the top. Like Tarkin was like that in New Hope. Kylo Ren was like that in some ways. The Emperor was like that in some ways. So, it makes sense, and I agree. I think he's another like really overlooked actor. I think he's wonderful. Have not watched Bloodline yet. Heard the first season was great. Heard the second season was eh.
Second season's pretty good, and even though something to his character happens in the first season,
I was spoiled what happened.
But I'm not going to spoil it for people listening.
Thanks TV talk.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for people listening. But in the second season, he's still very prominent, and he's prominent throughout both seasons. So.
Well, I mean, he did win the Emmy for the second season, which is saying something. So that's saying something. Who else is here? K2SO, Alan Tudyk. He was great. He was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought K2SO, like I said, probably my favorite character just because he was funny, he was self-aware, he was a dick. And he was a dick. Like, he had a lot more emotional layering than the humans, which I found ironic. It's almost like the humans were the robots and he was the human. Like, it's just fucking weird.
And then Mads Mikkelsen, underused, very underused. Still love the guy. I mean, he was in a big Disney movie, Doctor Strange just a month ago. So I mean, there's that. And then Forrest Whitaker.
He just felt like a waste.
I love him a lot. I love the guy. He's a fantastic actor, and I was excited to see him in here because Oscar winner Forrest Whitaker, like. An Oscar winner in the Star Wars universe? Sure. I mean, Benicio del Toro is going to be in Episode 8. I mean, I was expecting a lot more. Sure, if he wasn't in it a lot, fine. But his performance was just too much. The voice, like too much. I get it that he was breathing oxygen. Like I said, to save the rebellion, save the dream. Like that was just too. I'm sorry.
That needs to be a ringtone.
Like, that's literally how he says it. He yells, save the rebellion. Then he says, save the dream, like a little whiny little bitch, like he just got kicked in the nuts. So, it's whatever. And, I mean, I don't want to necessarily spoil this, but there are 2 CGI performances in this movie.
Oh, no. We're going to wait. We're going to wait until the
visuals.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's going to be... I cannot wait to rip that asshole.
Should we talk about Vader or no?
I thought James Earl Jones was doing Darth Vader. Like, there's nothing like super special about it. He fit in just like he did with the original films. I thought his voice was very powerful, very menacing, very commanding, and very threatening. Like, I like it. I mean, it's fine. It works for that movie.
It does. And for people, I'm not going to say a name of a YouTuber, but he doesn't watch this. Chris Stuckman. Listen, I get it that Star Wars is literally your orgy dream. I understand that, but who cares that he wasn't in this movie a lot? If he was in the movie way too much, it would have felt like too much fan service. And there was fan service in this movie, which was fine, but like if there was too much Vader, I felt it would have taken away from the new characters, which yes, they may not have been super well developed, but if you added a lot of Vader, it wouldn't have felt right. And I'm glad that he was only in 3 to 4 scenes. And his last scene in the movie was like the greatest thing ever. Like really excellent scene, terrifying as hell. It felt like a horror scene in a Star Wars movie. So that was
really actually my favorite scene in the entire movie, and it has nothing to do with the movie.
Exactly. It's not my favorite scene. I can't even remember my favorite scene, but great scene though. And yeah, Vader in the movie was really awesome. So Chase, let's go on to the next category.
Well, just to bring up a couple of things. For the fan service thing, I forgot to mention that. The fan service is there. Fan service has really never bothered me. I will acknowledge it, and it could be a negative connotation. It could be a positive connotation for some people. But for me, I don't really care about it. Like, I will notice it, but unless it beats you over the fucking head, that's when I will say something and kind of really rant about it. But it's there. It's whatever. Fans will cream their pants over it. So, moving on to cinematography. This fucking guy, I love this cinematographer. He did the film Lion, which I saw last week, and that film was gorgeous. What he really does best is really kind of capture the beauty of like environments and the beauty of people. Even though most of this movie's around death and destruction, it's still beautiful to watch. It's beautiful destruction, and it's so crisp and clear, and the contrast with the colors, and they're just so bright and inviting. And when you get to the darker scenes, they're really dark and mute, but they still look gorgeous. So I really love the cinematography, and that is one of the major highlights I will say about the film is the visual look to it. And when we get to visual effects, it just kind of adds on even more. But the cinematography itself, beautiful as all hell. I will never, ever, ever put down a Star Wars film for not being visually breathtaking, because most of them are. So yeah, cinematography for me is just downright gorgeous. So Brian, what say you?
You know, when they announced that the Star Wars films were going to go back to the original format by being shot on film, like, that was really something I was excited about, because as someone who loves cinematography, I'm not a cinematographer myself, I'm more in the editing realm. I've always appreciated when films that come out in this generation are shot on film. And The Force Awakens was shot on 35 millimeter, which was easily a highlight that no one ever brought up, which is the stupidest thing ever. No one specified that it was shot on 35 millimeter film. Like, that's awesome. This one was shot on 65 and 70 millimeter film. It's so goddamn beautiful that it's hard not to love the cinematography. If you hated this movie, fine. But if you say that the cinematography is shit, then you obviously have no eyes. Like, you're blind, like Donnie Yen's character, and it's like, why? Why would you hate the cinematography? This is like a gorgeous looking film. It's one of the best shot films of the entire year. Like, the way that the cinematography is incorporated with the action, it looks like a war film. It looks like Apocalypse Now, which was Gareth Edwards' biggest inspiration when he was making this film.
You feel like you're there. Like, the cinematography is so good and so grounded, you feel like you're in the action scenes themselves.
Exactly. And you brought up that this guy shot Lion. Haven't seen it yet. I'll get around to seeing it as soon as I can. But the guy also shot Zero Dark 30,
which was really great. Which was also really great.
Yeah, and those like, he adds the gritty elements, like the war elements from Zero Dark 30, and the quiet, self-contained elements from Foxcatcher in this. So like, that's something I thought was handled extremely well, and that the beach sequence looks beautiful. The sequence that takes place when it's raining, that was so well done. The cinematography all around was just phenomenal, and I would not be shocked. I don't think it will be nominated, but I wouldn't be shocked if this film gets a Best Cinematography nomination at the Oscars.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is just very talented, and hey man, continue to get work and continue to do shit, because you're one of my favorites. Because hey, listen, Roger Deakins and Emmanuel Lubezki won't be around for long. We need some new people to kind of latch onto. So yeah, cinematography absolutely drop dead gorgeous. All right, let's get into the editing and special effects, because this, folks, is also a humongous fucking complaint. Special effects, but editing-wise, Brian, let's go with you first. Did you think the 2-hour runtime and pace of the film was good? Do you think it was steady, or do you think it was a little choppy?
It was at times choppy. I will say that it did start off a little rocky, the film. The first 20 minutes were just a little bumpy. The first act was definitely a little quicker. The third act was really, really quick. The second act, to me, felt just a little slow compared to the first and third acts of the film. And I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to set everything up and get everybody ready to steal the plants and everything. But, like, I just felt that the edit could have been a lot better, especially when you compare it to The Force Awakens. Like, that's the thing. Like, and I don't want to be the one that compares this film to The Force Awakens, but when it came to The Force Awakens, that film was so well directed, written, edited. The characters were well developed. It was just a better made film than this, but the thing is, the editing, like, it wasn't a boring film by any means. I wasn't bored. I was still engaged from beginning to end. I just wish that the film was just a lot faster. Not too fast to the point where you're like, wow, everything felt rushed and everything. But, like, it should have been just a little faster compared to how The Force Awakens was. The Force Awakens was a really fast-paced film. This one just wasn't as fast-paced as it should have been. So the editing was another complaint I had with the movie, but for the most part, I thought it was well edited.
I and I'm glad you brought that up. The whole second act being kind of a little slow, a little choppy. It's because this premise, this storyline, is thin. It is fucking thin. So you have to stretch it out into, a 2-hour runtime. And so when you have that thin premise and you stretch it out, you can feel it as an audience member going, "Oh shit, can we please hurry this up?" It's no, thank you. It's just running at a fucking snail's pace right now. So that's why it was slow. Is because the story itself is not that intriguing to begin with. It's like I said, it's very basic. Bunch of rebels go steal some Death Star plans. That's it. And maybe they could use more of that second act to develop some characters more. I don't know. I think for me, editing wise, the first act is an act that gets you in. It introduces all these characters and kind of gets you in the environment and in the Star Wars mood again. The second act, I will agree, is they're trying to build those characters, but everyone is just so bland in their fucking performances. It's like, well, it feels a lot slower than it should. And then that whole ending battle scene in the third act was very exciting to watch, even though I didn't really feel any compassion for any of the characters, but I still enjoyed the visual aspect of it. So, moving on to special fucking effects. First of all, I would like to say that the majority of the effects in this movie are amazing. They're absolutely beautiful, and I love the way these Star Wars films are looking, because in Force Awakens and in this one, the visual effects, for the most part, the majority of them, look super groundbreaking, and they look realistic. And the war scenes in the sky look so beautiful with all of the bullets flying everywhere, with all the ships flying everywhere, and the bigger ships crashing into each other. It looks realistic, and it honestly looks like you're watching real-life footage of something happening in space. So those effects are amazing. And I also really enjoy the Bryan, what are they called, since I'm not in the Star Wars lore? Imperial Walkers?
Well, you could call them that, the AT-AT walkers, okay. Something like that. I don't know how to pronounce them. I'm a bigger Star Wars fan than you, but I'm not into it as much as I am with other things. I'm only a fan of the films, so. Well, AT-AT walkers, ATA, I don't know what they're called. Well, AT-ATs,
those big fuckers. Anyways,
yes.
Those looked really cool, and I love the perspective of when they're walking onto the beach, and you kind of rack focus to the humans, and you see how tiny they are. I thought that was really well played out, and you can really feel the wide scope of these giant, machines, trying to mow these people down. So I really appreciated that. Two things. One, the title card for Rogue One looked like something out of iMovie or Windows Movie Maker, whatever preference you want to use. That Rogue One appearance title card was terrible. It literally looked like something I would do. You just find a random font in Final Cut and just throw in there real fast. That was really mishandled. And the second thing, General fucking Tarkin is in the movie. That character looks weird. And I will say that it's because he is animated. That is not a spoiler. He is an animated character. Why? Because they try to portray the actor who played him in A New Hope and kind of use that kind of face match technology to kind of bring him back to life. That animation was atrocious. It looked like something out of a fucking video game, and I cannot believe for a movie that cost $200 million, that's what they churned out. It looked so weird to watch people interact with him that I was not buying it, fam. I was like, yeah, no thank you. I'm good. His eyes looked really weird and very glass-like and dead-like. It just there was nothing behind those eyes, and it was even more weird to see people talk to him. The animation was not well done at all, and it really just kind of took me out of the movie. Like I said, if that's considered a spoiler, I apologize. I don't think it is. Bryan, do you think that's a spoiler?
Well, the thing is, I didn't really expect him to be in it, but I guess it's really not because you kind of couldn't do the movie without this character.
Well, it's like if people know this is a kind of prequel to New Hope, like literally the events that lead up to it minute by minute, you would expect him to be in there, right? If you're a diehard Star Wars fan.
Exactly.
Yeah, and most of you guys that listen to this podcast, you're probably way more Star Wars fans than me. You probably just scoffed at like, I already fucking knew that. So, yeah, no, that animation was atrocious. So, Brian, talk about the special effects. What impressed you? What didn't impress you?
I just love how this movie is mostly practical. I appreciate the practicality now in these in Star Wars. Most of them were just seamless. The CGI for the most part was seamless. I appreciate what these films are now doing. Like, I appreciate that they're going back to their roots by being practical, shot on film. I appreciate that because when you look at the prequels, they didn't do that. Visually, you know that this film is going to be amazing. Like, you knew that from the trailers. You knew that from the images. You knew for a fact that the visuals in a Star Wars movie were shit. Then it wouldn't be in the same veins as a Star Wars film. Yes, now to talk about the whole Tarkin thing, I thought he looked good. Not wonderful. Over time, like when I saw the film on Thursday, I was like, oh my God, it looks really good. Well, see, the thing is, we've only seen like a few CGI humans on screen. The two that are in this, one of them being Tarkin, the other one being the one that everyone, I'm not going to say who, but I'm just going to say that
it's a nice surprise. Let's just say that.
It's a nice surprise for sure.
I think that would be, I don't think it's a spoiler, but I think that would be more spoilers than the Tarkin one. So that's why I kind of walked the line. I was like, I think the Tarkin one's okay to talk about.
Correct. And the other CGI human we saw on screen, not just not in this movie, but CGI Paul Walker. When you compare that to the CGI characters in this, it looks better than CGI Paul Walker because I didn't think the CGI Paul Walker looked that good. I thought he looked really bad. He looked too clean. He looked way too clean. It wasn't right.
It looks like a porcelain doll. That's what exactly Tarkin looked like.
Yeah, the Tarkin looked a little more dirty compared to Paul Walker, but it was kind of a nice honor, but at the same time might be a little offensive to some people. To me, it wasn't. It was just cool seeing how technology has evolved, and now they might be able to soon make a CGI human. It could be a bad thing, but it could also be a good thing. So CGI, like those two CGI characters, I liked seeing them on screen, and I thought they were well animated for the most part. There were some moments where I'm like, with the first one maybe. The second one's only in for 5 seconds, so it's not really that big of a deal. The Tarkin, I saw some moments where it was like a little fidgety, and I'm like, yeah, no. But for the most part, visually, the film is great.
Yeah, and that's a good point you brought up, is that this is the kind of like birth of the animated human almost in movies. And that is a pretty cool thing to witness, but I know this is still the first stages of it, but it still looks terrible. I'm sorry, but if your movie costs way more money than Bryan and I will ever see in like 20 of our lifetimes, maybe even more, it's not going to work. Like, I'm sorry, it just looks like a fucking video game. So, to kind of wrap things up, the music is whatever. I really don't talk about music that much.
I wasn't really fond of the music in this movie. I don't appreciate how they just let Alexander Desplat go, and then they brought on Michael Giacchino, who I love. I love Michael Giacchino.
But they gave him 3 weeks to do it.
Yeah, 3 weeks. That's not enough time. And now, granted, it was not the worst score, but it wasn't really that good of a score either. They wasn't really. I don't remember the music, and when you go to a Star Wars movie, you want to remember the music. Like in Force Awakens, you remember it's like Rey's theme and the theme where, Kylo Ren is introduced. It's like you remember that music. With this, I don't remember anything when it comes to the music.
Yeah, I don't either. It's very forgettable music-wise. So just to wrap up my overall thoughts, I thought the story was very thin. Characters very weak, bland, underdeveloped, and that bleeds into the performances, and they didn't bring any life into them. I did like K2SO. I thought he was the most well-developed, ironically, being the robot. And Donnie Yen's character, I would give a pass because he's older, I guess. The visual effects are stunning, and it goes well with the cinematography, and the pacing is exciting in the beginning, lackluster in the middle, and then brings it into a very good climax at the end, and then that The very end bit after everything was probably my favorite part, and that wasn't even a part. In context, it's not even a part of the movie. So, and in my grade, I was debating on it as I was talking. I think I'm gonna go. I'll go C plus. I was gonna give it a C, but I think I'm gonna give it that plus only because the visual effects are absolutely breathtaking, and I don't know, what the future is like. But if they just keep making these Star Wars like super realistic and blending in the CGI and the practicals so goddamn well, I'll always praise the visual effects. So I think a C plus is fine with it. It's an okay movie, but I'll give that slight edge because of the visual aesthetics and the cinematography. So Brian, your overall thoughts and your grade, please.
I loved it a lot when I saw the film, but now over time, I still really enjoyed the movie. But my grade is going down just a little bit compared to my my review. I was gonna go see it again this weekend. That's the goal. I'm gonna go see it again because I cannot see this only one time. I have to watch it at least another time to see where my thoughts are on it. So when in my video review I gave it an A, I'm going A- with this. Like, I just feel that the characters could have been way more fleshed out. I thought that the pacing could have been a little better in the second act. But for the most part, like, the story just wasn't as great as it could have been. It wasn't the worst thing, but I was a little let down by the movie. But I still had a really good time with it, and I would still suggest going to see this in the theater. But go with people. You'll probably get a kick out of it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys haven't seen it, enjoy it as much as we did. So, yep, those are my thoughts on Rogue One.
And it's not like I'm some Mr. Scrooge over here. It's not like I just had a terrible time throughout the entire thing. I like parts of it. I think some parts are very entertaining and very fun to watch and very devastating to watch. Like, the epic scope that they have on some of these war scenes are pretty astounding because these are little humans taking on these big-ass, like, Imperial, like, machines and stuff. And I thought those were really well handled. Like I said, there's some really good parts, but then there's not some good parts. So, yeah, A- for Brian, C+ for me. So that is a really big difference. That's one of the biggest differences we've had in quite a while. So what say you guys? What did you guys think of Rogue One? Are you on Brian's side? Did you kind of love it with some issues, or are you kind of on my side? Would you think it was just okay? But then I have seen some people say they do not like it. So I would like to know down below what you think of it. All film is subjective, friends. I am not going to yell at you, but I'm sure a lot of you will yell at me considering the fact that I didn't like it as much. So I understand, but I am prepared for the internet. So that is it for the movie review, guys. So let's get into speaking of Rogue One, let's get into the box office fucking slang that it did this weekend. So as always, Brian has to guess the top 5. So Brian, what are you going to go with this week?
Okay, so here's the deal. We had another wide release come out this weekend. At this point, I have no idea if it's made the top 5. La La Land expanded into theaters this weekend. I don't think that's in the top 5. Top 10 for sure, but not top 5. So number 5, I am going to say Collateral Beauty. Number 4, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. 3, Office Christmas Party. 2, Moana, and number 1, Rogue One.
If Brian would have switched 5 and 4, he would have got a perfect slate. So just a real quick nod. La La Land jumped up from number 15 last week to number 7 with 4 million, which is holy shit. It had an over 350% increase. Number 6 was actually Manchester by the Sea, so I'm glad seeing it go really well too. So, but number 5. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them with 5 million, and its budget is 180. It's doing pretty well. Going to its page right now. Budget is 180 with marketing doubling that because theaters got to take their cut. We're looking at probably 400, maybe 420, probably even more. I'm just gonna say at least 400, or at least like 450 or something like that. Domestically, which is the U.S. and Canada, it's made 207. That's not that good. But worldwide, it's made 717, which means, guys, it made its money back plus a shit ton of profit. So it is doing very well, and I would not be surprised if a sequel is coming very shortly. So I know they're scheduled to do many of them, but with the numbers, it is solidified that they will do very well. Number 4, Collateral Beauty with 7 million straight up. Its budget is $36 million, and I can tell you with all the shitty reviews, it is not going to do that well, folks. Especially since we have the Christmas season coming out, and we have Fences, Sing, Passengers, Assassin's Creed, Rogue One still. Collateral reviews can get fucking buried. So, its worldwide numbers for the weekend, 11.
Oh.
11. And when you double 36, we're looking at 72.
Oh!
And with marketing, I'm going to say about 75 because I didn't spend that much on marketing. I'm going to say at least 75 to break even. That movie is going to fucking bomb. So
poor cast.
Yeah.
I feel bad for everybody in that cast because that movie actually looked really good. And when I heard about all the negative reception, it kind of broke my heart.
When people were describing the story, I was almost flabbergasted as to who the hell approved that. Like, it's such a terrible story, and it shows, like, the worst in humanity. And you're like, oh, isn't that supposed to be a feel-good movie? Yeah, you thought wrong. So, number 3, Office Christmas Party with $8.4 million. It's doing pretty well for a raunchy comedy, following in the footsteps of, like, A Night Before and Bad Santa 2. Its budget is $45 and needs to make about, I'm going to say $95 million to break even. It's only made 51 worldwide so far, so not that good, but maybe around Christmas time people will want to go see it as kind of programming. Number 2, Moana. So Disney's got the top 2 spots with $11.6 million. Its budget is not listed, but domestically it's got 161 and worldwide it's got 280, so it's not bad for Moana. I thought Moana was solid. Number 1 is obviously Trolls. Because no, I'm just kidding. I just trolled you. Did you see how I tied that in? Number 1 is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Brian, would you like to guess how much?
Okay. From what I read from Friday, that was the last time I looked at the box office results. I'm gonna say it didn't make a lot of money like The Force Awakens. It made a lot of money, but not a lot like that one. That one I think made like $200 million opening weekend. This one I'm gonna say
Force Awakens made like 247.
Okay.
Biggest opening of all time.
Well, good for that because it was well-deserved because it was fucking awesome. This one I'm going to say $150 million.
Brian, you were $5 million off. It is $155. So, Rogue One made $155 million this weekend, and that is domestically. Worldwide, it made 290, so damn near 300. Its budget, though, keep this in mind, is 200. You got to double that for the theater cuts, so we're looking at 400. Then you got to do marketing, and Disney usually pumps a lot into their marketing. So I'm going to say they probably spend about anywhere from 50 to 75 on marketing, maybe even 100 million. So I'm going to just say, conservatively, that it needs to make about 500 million to break even. It's going to do that by next week. It just is. The fact that it's already almost made 300 and it's already over its halfway point to break even, it's going to do just fine. So, Brian, and that's a question I want to ask you. Force Awakens, hold on, let me pull up the number here. Hold on. That was me moaning because my internet's terrible. All right. So, Force Awakens topped out in its theater run with $936 million domestically, which is an insane number that Rogue One's never going to catch. So, that's not the question. Worldwide, it made $2.068 billion. Brian, where do you think Rogue One will end its run money-wise?
I think it's going to end with...
I want you to do domestic number and worldwide number.
Domestic, I'm going to say... I'm going to say 380 million. And for worldwide, I'm going to say 800 million.
That's not a bad guess. I think domestically, I think it'll top out at either 400 or 450. And then worldwide, I think you're right. It'll probably do either anywhere from... I don't even want to say a specific number, so I'm going to say anywhere from 800 mil to $1 billion. So, there you go. That would be my estimate. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how it does. So, that will do it for the box results. And, guys, that will do it for the end of the show. Thank you for joining for episode 160, where we talked about Rogue One, a shit ton of trailers, and movie news. Brian, thank you for coming on. And where can the people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at BryanSuts98 and on YouTube at Bryan Sudfield.
That is correct, and all of his links will be in the description below. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at RealChaseLee. Subscribe to my YouTube page. Follow on iTunes. Rate, like, thumbs up. You guys know the drill. Spread it around and tell everyone that this is the definitive movie podcast. And hey, listen, if you made it through this entire podcast and you were not a movie fan, well, hopefully Bryan and I convinced you to be one. So this is episode 160, guys. For the next 3 weeks, this is very important. I will not have regular episodes. They will be the top 10 and top 5 episodes. So, wait. No, it's just 2 weeks. Sorry. I'm jumping ahead. So, for the next 2 weeks, this is how it's going to go. On December 26th, which is a Monday, I'm going to do it after Christmas because it's Christmas. I'm not going to record on a Sunday. I'm going to record on Monday, which is my day off. December 26th, next week, top 10 films of 2016. I pretty much got my list solidified. I am ready to go and share it with you guys. And then the following week, I'm not going to record on New Year's Day because that will be a holiday, and I'll probably might be drinking the night before. So anyways, no hungover chase for that episode. So I will be recording on January 2nd, which is the Monday following, and it will be the top 5 anticipated films of 2017. So happy holidays to all of you guys. And so the next week, episode 161 will be top 10 of the year, and then the following 162 will be the top 5 anticipated for the following year. So that will do it for this week's episode of Real Me and a movie podcast. I'm Chase Lee. That is Bryan Sudfield, and the intro and outro music is done by my friends band Fervent Roze. Check them out. And speaking of them, they're going to play us out. See you guys next week. Top 10 of the year, motherfuckers.